Welcome, everybody. My name is Péter Kiraly, and I work at GWDG Göttingen as a software developer, researcher, and system administrator. And previously, the title was set as Introduction to DH or something like that. But preliminary, we discussed with Thomas that I will concentrate more on the book historical aspects of DH. So the title is Introduction to Digital Book History Research. And yeah, this is a presentation, but I would like to encourage you to interrupt me and ask questions or comment if you have anything to add or it is something is not clear. So digital humanities is a very large topic, and there are smaller and more comprehensive definitions. Usually, it means that we apply computational methods to answer humanities questions. The very broad range of humanities, and itself the concept of humanities might be different in the United States and in Germany and in other countries. Sometimes it covers also psychology, sometimes psychology is taken as a social science, etc., etc. This is a more comprehensive overview of digital communities, and the authors suggested that this term is applied to many different activities, and they list these activities. So there are digital communities interfaces, there are different systems. In digital communities, there are projects, and they share different structures like libraries, software libraries, or application programming interfaces. There are specific data sets as well. There are digital methods, there are digital archives. Metadata is another big topic. This is my core interest. Of course, there are institutions who provide, and also organizations who provide research infrastructures like different branch of DARIA or different research institutions. And on the bottom of, at least on this image, we have special algorithms, special way how we expect the real world to data or information. And there are many different ways how we represent this information. So different ontologies, different encoding schemas, and so forth. So all these are labeled digital humanities. Some have a close connection in this image, some have loose connections. For example, a research infrastructure provider might not know anything about digital humanities. They provide the servers and networks and so forth. The beginning is not so far. So it was after the Second World War. There were two founding fathers, so to say. None of them called the activities digital humanities. The term itself changed a lot, and there are lots of variants of digital humanities. Usually, at the beginning or in the first several decades, it contains some computation or computational or some synonyms of this expression, and in just the last 2 decades it became digital. One, this Father Busa, he was a Jesuit friar, and he would like to create a concordance for the work of St. Thomas. And he started with settles, but according to the legend, I will talk about why I call it legend. He met the director of IBM in 1949 and convinced IBM to invest money into this project. And IBM bring computation power, and they use this cards with holes to record the information which are typed in or recorded by women without names, or the legend doesn't contain their names. The legend, I say, because there's a Italian scholar, Italian digital humanist, Tito Orlandi, who called attention that we know this story very well, but the only source is Father Busa itself. And any further research did not happen to validate this legend. Anyway, Index Manuscriptus has been created, and it is still available. You can check it. The other is a less known father, or actually a father and a mother, because Frank Ozley, who was an American historian, had a wife, and his wife contributed a lot in this research. However, the book has been written by Frank Ozley. The book was Plain Folk of the South, and this was as far as I know, the first book who introduced computation on historical data. So what he did is do some samples from statistical data and do some computation on this data. Again, together with his wife, Harriet. And this very early book already contains some data visualization. This is of course is a handmade and prepared by Harriet, but still you can find that this map is based on data they extracted from the statistical sources. The digital history, the term itself, as I mentioned, changed a lot, but also the scope of the term has been changed. And there's a very nice book, Technology and the Historian, written by Adam Trimble. Side note, Adam Trimble is one of the founders of programming history and a very important source for all of us who are here. So he said that it is not possible to create a compact and very concise definition of what digital history or digital humanities is. Let's behave as a historian, so we should check how the term and the relationship between the historians and the computational methods changed over time. So he thought of 5 different areas. One is the clear metrics, which is the quantitative history. So also was one of the pioneers of this, and humanist computing. So this father's Buza's stream, which were more linguistical background. Later it became the digital humanities as a term. But I guess that in 20 years we will use a different term. There was a large effect of the mass digitization. So the historical sources were also available as a digital form, and using this digital sources and itself the digitization also somehow called or taken as a part of the digital humanities or digital history. Also, the digitization forms introduced in the classroom was also part of digital history. Learning from and about digital tools and the digital communication and blogging and microblogging, etc. Also taken as digital history. So as you can see, some of them are core research, some of them are more infrastructure, some of them are more communication, but they also called digital history. Another term I like, and this is also very relevant for us, is cultural analytics. The term itself is coined by a Russian-American scholar, Lev Manovich, who more on the media studies, so he's not a historian, originally architecture. And the background of the term is from Google Analytics. So he wanted to see something which looks like Google Analytics. Google Analytics is a tool to process statistics about web visits. So who visited our site, how much time they spent there, what they clicked on, and so forth. But Manovich's idea that instead of measuring these user activities, we should also measure the culture, different aspects of culture. He concentrated on the visual culture, so what kind of photographs an average person creates in Moscow or in Seoul, etc. But the term itself is used in the whole cultural sphere, so it's much larger right now than Manovich's original idea, and this is the intersection of digital cultural heritage data and computational methods. So on computational method, we have concepts like digital forensics or topic modeling, stylometry, statistics, probability, and many more. On the digital cultural heritage part, we have semantic technologies, metadata standards, visualization, data phenomenology, historical network analysis, quality assessment, geospatial analysis, and many more. So the basic idea that we use the computational method on digital cultural heritage data. Okay, so some digital methods for book history. So let's start with some research questions, which are typical in this area. Every question came from an actual paper. I did not provide here the source, but later I will provide some papers as well. So just mention some spatial and prosopographical aspects on more than 20,000 legal dissertations from 17th century Germany. interdisciplinary in metadata in 1,000 philosophical dissertations, changing of formats of books over the time, changing of language of the books over the time, translation patterns, what are these super central, peripheral languages? These are terms for the translation studies, effects on publishers on literature, different profiling of libraries, private libraries, or city libraries, etc. Correlations between the formats and contents. So, are there any correlation between the format of the book, the media, and the content it contains, and changes in the ratio of genres or the author's background. I talk about some theoretical models which this field utilize. Probably the most famous one is Robert Darnton's communication circuit, which was published in 1982. Robert Darnton was or is a historian, an American historian, who had a strong library background as well. For one decade, he was a director of the Harvard Library. Previously, he was at Yale. He was one of the founder of the Google Book project, or the participation in Google Books by large American university and so forth. But his main interest was as a historian, the Enlightenment in France, or the 18th century France cultural history. What kind of books has been published, what people read, and so forth. And he suggests this communication circuit, which concentrate on the creation of the book. And he said that we don't just concentrate on one specific aspects, like the biography of the authors of the Enlightenments, but also we should check the background of the publishers. We should investigate the printers, the whole process of printing, including the suppliers like paper providers, ink providers, and so forth. We also check the shipping of the book, so those booksellers, different agents, and so forth. And finally, we should also investigate what people read and what they purchase, how they borrow books, what kind of libraries they have, what are the profiles of these libraries, and so forth. This paper was very influential, and there were lots of comments and critiques, and there were some extensions. Yeah.
You said, to interrupt you, back then in 1982, what method did they have to do all this?
Yeah,
because even for today, this sounds, quite ambitious.
Yeah.
But back then,
yeah, he did not work with digital methods at all. So he went to archive. There was his favorite archive in Switzerland, in Neuchâtel, was
Société typographique.
Exactly. And the nice of this archive is that there were several publishing houses in Neuchâtel, and their archive was intact, and several very important books of the French Enlightenments has been published in Neuchâtel, sometimes as published in Neuchâtel, sometimes fake that it was published in Lyon or Paris or something else, and well, there was lots of strange things because there's of materials reserved in this archive, so we can know a lot about different aspects. And the best thing is that a part of this archive is digitized, and I will talk about. So one of the extension of this communication circle was by Adams and Baker, and instead of concentrating on the circle of creating the books, they concentrating on the life cycle of the books, and they make distinction between the publication phase, the manufacture phase, distribution phase, reception phase, and for me at least especially important, the survival phase. So how the books have been survived during the centuries. And they said that all these life cycle phases were affected by different socio-economic environments like intellectual influences, commercial pressures, and so forth. Another theoretical approach is Pierre Bourdieu, who was a French psychologist. He was not famous about book history or British research, but at the end of his life, he published a paper which were quite influential, and he provided or proposed a model that is already existing theory about the different kinds of capitals and the field theory can be applied to investigate the book market as well. He analyzed the post-Second World War French book market, and he started to investigate many different aspects of this book market, profiling mainly the publishers. And one of his conclusions was that when a publisher selects an author to publish his book, it's a so-called consecration. That was his term. Is a transfer of symbolic capital. So based on previous books and based on the market share and based on other symbolic capitals, like the editors are part of jury of awards, the publisher gives this symbolic capital to the author. So and that he provided several examples. The students of Bourdieu, mainly Giselle Safuro, who is already professor in translation studies, continued this work, mostly concentrating on the translational aspects. Yes, this the other it is less important, but still used somewhere. Bruno Latour, who was a historian of science and kind of philosopher later, but he studied how invention changed the words. And what was the effect of inventions and go deep in the details. And his idea was, he was not alone who suggested this idea, but he was the most famous who propagate this, is that the actions in life are not insulated. So each action connects to other actions, and if we do something that it has an effect on other actions, and he called this network of actions actor network theory. And in book historical research, you can find some mention who implemented this idea to practice. So this one is an American literary scholar, I forgot which Warner, but he created this network of the readership. So how the reader interact with the books, and how the reader's ideas has been changed over the reading. Another and more important or more frequently used theory is Albert Barabás's network science. The basic idea was that they investigated different networks, and they found that independent of the size of the network, the distribution of the nodes are very same. So they call it scale-free behavior. So in every network there are a very small number of nodes who has lots of connections with other nodes, and there are lots of nodes who have very small number of relationship with others. There are lots of interesting research to utilize this theory, and also the methods they proposed to measure the different properties of the network. And finally, two theory came from historical scholarship. One is Thibodeau. He was an archivist. He was one of the main brain at the United States National Archive and Record. I don't know the last word, but this is the National Archive. Yep. So he suggested the term archival engineering, and he created models of what is the relationship between the archival source and the past, and how can we set a theory about knowing the past. The whole theory has been expressed in several papers. This is only one paper. The basic or the most important thing is that the past is always constructed. So yeah, I guess it's a common place. And the last theory is an Austrian one. Manfred Thaler, who is one of the pioneers of digital humanities in German-speaking world, and he's a retired professor from Cologne right now, but he spent some years here in Vienna as well. And in his autobiography, he set up a complex theory of historical information. And sorry, I will read this aloud. this would be 2 slides, but yeah, for me it's very interesting. So he provided some definitions. History is the study of all phenomena which require the analysis of information created by human behavior, where creators of that information cannot or shall not be asked about the meaning of the information left behind. So again, it's parallel with this constructed past. Historical sources should not be interpreted as signs for unequivocal message. They are tokens which have been interpreted by a historian. Such interpretations have to be documented as precisely as possible, as a concrete disagreement about the interpretation of a specific token indicates a focus for the necessary clarification of subjective understanding. It's interesting, again, that he used the term token as the representation of the past, and Thibodeau also mentioned they did not know about each other. And finally, an equation. This will be the only equation in the presentation, don't worry. And this is the, I suggest you to write his papers, but he provided a interpretation. The information I at time x is the result of a function I, which has interpreted the information I available at time x minus alpha in the light of the results of the semantic function s applied to the information I available at time x minus beta. This semantic function s has been applied for a period of time t1. The central information generating function I has been applied for a period of time t2. It is in this form. It is not ingestible, I presume, but the main idea is that information is interpreted on previous knowledge about the same thing, or previous knowledge about the context in general. So one of the example he provided, that when we read Thucydides' interpretation or report about a Greek politician speech, we don't read the Greek politician speech, we read the Thucydides words. And Thucydides has the context of the original idea, and that's because he was a contemporary, but we lost this context. So we for this S part, which is the context, are for each of us. It's very interesting, however. I suggest reading it. Anyway, and the last theoretical part is from the library domain. This is the WEMI model, work, expression, manifestation, and item. This model has been created about 30 years ago, so 1998 exactly, was published. And there are different variations. The basic idea is that we have in catalog a catalog record describes an edition of the book. Sometimes a single example or copy of the book, if it contains some ex libris or possessor information, etc. But we have the book itself has different layers of information. So when we talk about Shakespeare Hamlet, we don't talk about a particular edition. We talk about an idea, the work which contains the original text if there is no original text. And there are different expressions of the Hamlet. There are translations, there are different interpretations, like the play, which is performed at a theater, and the book, which word by word is the same, but still it is differently consumed. The manifestation is the edition, and the item is the individual copies. Again, it was introduced almost 30 years ago. Still, we don't have a very good and reliable implementation. There are several implementations. I don't talk about them, but still the theoretical framework is inspiring, and we can also apply to book history. So back to Shakespeare in Winter's Tale, Shakespeare talk about the seacoast of Bohemia, which is of course not existing, and there are lots of interesting literary theory why Shakespeare thought that there is. And one of the suggestion was that Shakespeare's one of the influence was Robert Greene's Pandosto. This is another play, and the Winter's Tale at part paraphrases this Pandosto. And one of the idea or the theory that Pandosto simply misunderstand the Latin sentence of Antonio Bonfini, who also paraphrased this sentence from Enea Piccolomini. And all these things can be described with the Femi apparatus, so the Winter's Tale and Pandosto, and also the Piccolomini's Historia Bohemica and Bonfini's works, and we also have some editions, and we also have some manifestations. And we know that Robert Greene studied at Oxford, and both the Latin and German editions of Bonfini's were available in several copies in the Oxford libraries. So there's some sense behind this theory. However, again, this is just an example, and this is not the only one theory behind the seacoast of Bohemia. Okay, and now, after the theoretical background, let's concentrate on the practice. So, I'm and also Robert, we are a member of a group called Daria Biblioteca Working Group, and we think about a computational workflow, and we came up with this important step when we process bibliographical data for historical research. So we have to have the data. This is data acquisition. Then we should do some preprocessing. We should do some harmonization of the data. Then we should do some analysis. We can also validate the data in several different points. And finally, we should disseminate our results. There are different variations of this workflow. This one is from a paper. They described how they published the Estonian national bibliography, and you can see that they also get the data from a repository, then do some process, they do some harmonization, enrichment, then they have a curated data set which they publish and they also documented. I add only one point which is missing from this previous thing, that we always have, or should always have a research question or more research question we would like to answer with this data. And this research question is interaction with the data sources and also with the methods we can work with. So not always all data is available, and not always all methods are available for us, because let's say that we know that there is a good method written in let's say C, but I don't programming in C, so it's not available for or the methods available for a big company like Google is different than a single researcher can achieve. So let's start with data acquisition and sanity check. So we have different types of data sources in the research. Three important types of sources. The first one is downloading the file. This is the most simple thing. However, it is quite rare that libraries or research groups provide their catalog or data as a downloadable source. I have a list, so this slide will be shared. So if you click on this, you can get the library catalogs are available for download. Another method is using application programming interface or APIs. So you should have a client who speaks one of these API, or you should write your own script. There are some popular APIs like OAI-PMH or Z3950, SRV, and SparkQL. They are different kinds of APIs. I don't talk about the details, but they are well documented, and there are several tools and libraries you can use. And finally, unfortunately, not all good data sources have API or provide downloadable files. You have to do some hacks, like the Vienna Hackathon. So one of the hacks is called screenscaping. When we check the HTML source of the website and try to figure it out in different ways, that those elements which are in italic, and this is the second of the list, that's the title or that's the author. Sometimes, if we are lucky, the HTML page is generated out of a database, and there's no human hand accidentally in between. So the structure is the same for all the records. Sometimes it is the same. And I also listed some libraries for processing specifically Mark 21, because this is one of the most important metadata schema for library catalogs. So you can find on GitHub open source softwares for Java, Python, PHP, Go, JavaScript, and many more if you would like to work with Mark 21. Yeah, one important thing that after you download the files or acquire the records in other methods, you have to do some sanity checks whether if it's XML, that this is valid XML, or if it's JSON, it's valid JSON, and so forth. The file is readable. There's no corruption between there were no corruption in the communication steps and so forth. This is very basic. There are different data sources. For us, I created 4 catalogs. I mentioned library catalogs, but I would like to specify some historical library catalogs. So DD 16, 17, and 18. This is a register of German books in the 16th century, 17th century, and 18th century. Unfortunately, the definition of what is book and what is German is different for all these 3 databases. For example, in the VD16, the one-leaf prints are excluded. However, one of the best German, well-known German historical sources, the Luther's 95 points, is a one-leaf print, and it is not available, or was not available in VD16. Edit 16 is an Italian version of the same concept, and there's a special one, Heritage of the Printed Book database. It is an international European catalog, which ingested from several hundred libraries all over Europe, organized by CEL. Another big category is the content of digital libraries. Some of them are Europeana, Gallica, Deutsche Digitale Bibliothek, and the American Happy Trust. Happy Trust is a special one because usually it is not possible to download things from Happy Trust. Metadata is possible, but not the full text. But they provide a special so-called research computation environment where you can push your code instead of downloading the data. Push your code. They will run your code. Of course, the code should fit to some requirement, and you will receive the results. This is due to data protection. Probably less important, but still, I think it is relevant for us, the citation data, so data about recent research publications, and we have DataCite, OpenLX, Open Citation, Web of Science, Scopus, etc. Some of them are openly available, some of them provide some user interface. You can download it. Finally, there are special historical sources, special database created for book historical research. I previously mentioned the Société typographique Vienna Hackathon. I don't know French, so probably the pronunciation is different. This database is about the prints of the Neuchâtel publishing houses. Mediate originally was a Dutch database. Right now it is extended to other countries. In Netherlands, it was law that if somebody died and the books should be sell out in auctions, the catalog of the auctions had to be printed, and that's why it's a wealth of sources. And Mediate digitize this auction catalogs. In the last years, they also collected from other countries, France, United Kingdom, etc. And yeah, you can find others like Elizio was a Hungarian data source for archival material containing library catalogs for mostly private libraries. Next step is validation and exploratory data analysis, or shortly EDA. The basic idea is that we have to do some validation. There are some tools on that. I personally want to maintain of these tools to a catalog, but I won't show you today. This is also from the Estonian researchers. So after they created the data set, they do some visualization, what kind of fields are available in their catalog and how frequently. So we can see that every record has an ID, but the price is available only a small fraction of the record. And also we can analyze the content of individual fields. This came from Harald Klinker, who is an art historian in München, and he created this nice table, the top 20 patterns of the date field available in the Museum of Modern Art collection. And you can see that, and that's the most important thing, that you don't have to trust your data. You have to be very skeptical about, and this kind of list helps you to understand what is really in the catalog. So a date is not always the date concept you have in mind, but yeah, you can see that there are many different ways how date can be expressed. Then preprocessing. So preprocessing roughly means that we have a data source in some format. I listed some formats here: XML, JSON, OBJ, and we during a single step or multiple step transform to a data structure we can work with in the programming language or in the tool. So here I mentioned Python pandas and R's tibble. They are specific data frame structure in these programming languages, and in between I added selection by records and by data elements. So sometimes, based on, depending on our research question, if we would like to analyze books published in Vienna in 18th century, and our original data set is all books published in 18th or any time in Austria, then we have to deselect all those which are not published in Vienna and not published in the 18th century. And if we would like to concentrate on, let's say, pamphlets, we also have to remove other things. And we are not interested in price, or we are not interested in illustrations, so we can get rid of those fields which records those information. Then harmonization, and that's the core and the probably the most time-consuming part of this process. The most typical harmonization data are dates, places of publications, persons, and concepts. Of course, we can do something on many more. So let's see, what does it mean exactly? So we saw previously in the Museum of Modern Art that they can be expressed in many different ways. Here, some ways expressed in a national library catalog. We have date plus some text, date expressed in Roman letters, date expressed in a different calendar. So in China and Japan, they don't use absolute numbers from a starting point up to now, but the starting point was always the first year of the emperor. So this is the 14th years of the Meiji emperor. Sometimes the dates have uncertainty, so we know that it is in the 19th century or in the 30s of the 19th century. In these two cases, it is not enough to record a single number. We should also add additional properties. And a recent paper, Kuza, Damarov, Kostis, and Kofo just published a software tool called Undate, and they suggested that database which handle historical dates should add additional properties, original for the original content of the date, to make distinction between the Julian and Gregorian and Chinese and different calendars, the precision. So whether our date is day precision, year precision, decades or century precision. In this case, if it's not precisely a day, we can set a date range, so from 2, and we might also contain duration, so 8-year period and so forth. There are other suggestions like the archival description provides another properties like work date. So when we have not a single record, but several papers, and we can say that we know the earliest and the latest date, but the bulk of the papers, so 90%, has been created in a single year or something like that. So a date, not always a single date, but more. Place names. So some examples. Wien de Bonne is of course Wien. We might find that place names are multiple place names. For example, sometimes a book has been published in either factually or just on paper in different places. For example, in the 19th century, in the German-speaking area, Austria had the strongest censorship. So lots of books has been namely published in Leipzig, because in Leipzig that was the most liberal censorship. So books in the colloquium of the book, they said that in Wien and Leipzig. However, everything happened in Wien, but in order to get a backdoor from censorship, they just worked together with the Leipzig authority. And the same pair of cities can be expressed in different languages. In order to find which name belongs to which current location, we have several services. I mentioned here 3 of them. Searle Thesaurus. So Searle is the responsible agency for the unprinted database. GeoNames, which contains current names, not but sometimes you can find historical names and also very good in multilingual terms. Get it as a use of geographic names is also a great source, although mostly in Anglo-Saxon sources. Yeah, persons, the same situation that we have to identify a person. It is even hardest thing because it is rather rare case that a place name can be resolved into multiple places. However, well, for at least for printing, it is rare. For other use cases, it's not so rare. But persons, it is always there. So in the cert thesaurus, you can find 50 unique variations of Gutenberg. But you can use tools like VIAF. This is virtual international authority file, and they collect about 20 national libraries authority records. Authority records is the normalized version. Cert thesaurus is similar than VIAF, but VIAF is owned by the company and is an organization. It's kind of alternative, and also you can find Wikidata very useful. And at the end, for both place names and persons, you actually not get a single string like being, but also additional properties like an identifier, like geographic coordinates and so forth. For persons, you can find the important biographical dates, place of birth, and so forth, and also identifiers. For concept, I cannot suggest a similar thing because there are several hundred conceptual vocabularies. I suggest you to check this service out, bartok.org, basic register of thesauri ontologies and classifications. So they collect more than 1,000 such vocabulary or dictionaries that you can find concepts from generic vocabularies like Dewey Decimal Classification, Universal Decimal Classification, to very specific ones. And sometimes you can find APIs for them. There's a tool called Scope, which helps you to iterate over the hierarchy of vocabulary. And I should mention one more thing that researcher Mariani conceptualized as VISU, this vagueness, incompleteness, subjectivity, and uncertainty. So these are different problems you can find when you work with any kind of data. The problem is that sometimes you cannot resolve an entity to a single a string to a single entity. There will be always problems, and there are some solutions for that. One is that you can record this. You can add some probability or subjectivity or uncertainty score into your data set that you can record that you are not certain that this person is, or this string belongs to this person or that person. For example, there were two Alexander Dumas, the father and the son. The father was the most famous. So we can say that the probability for the father is 85%, and the probability for the son is still not null, not zero, but 15%, for example. Thaler suggested to use probability score, to use fuzzy logic. So instead of true or false, you can specify in between states. And there's a mathematical theory called generalized theory of uncertainty. And Thaler also calls attention the importance of contradictions. So historical sources are never or almost never certain. So the interpretation might be contradictory to each other. Let's think of any kind of historical facts. You can find some debates about them. And the historical information system should be a place to record these contradictions. Okay, and finally, we get to the analysis. Here, I don't talk about the analytical methods. I will show you some examples I specifically like. So some of these examples came from Finnish colleagues. Thomas mentioned Tolonen, who will be the second workshop probably. So he's one of the biggest name in this area. So this illustration shows how the Finnish newspapers covered first particular part of Finland. This was Turku, which was the center of the Finnish intellectual life of Finland, because Turku was a Swedish-speaking city at the end of 18th, early 19th century. But in 1890 or 20, there was a big fire and everything was burned out, and Helsinki became the intellectual center. However, Helsinki was bilingual, so the Finnish language became more important. And as we go further, more and more cities publish more and more newspapers, and of course the Swedish language, which is not illustrated in this particular visualization, but in the paper, has been less important. Another from the same group, this visualization tries to identify the female authors and the ratio of the female authors in the Finnish publications. I did not mention that to decide whether the author is male or female is not straightforward. In some languages, for example, Maria could be in German male or female name, and there are lots of other examples. As far as I know, I hope not handles Another is the share of Latin in 4 different catalogs, national catalogs, Finnish, Swedish, Dutch, and English shorthand catalog. You can see that there was a decline, but sometimes there was some increase or stability in some countries where Latin regained temporary importance. this is from the same paper, the changing of book size. So folio, quarto, octavo, and the other. The interesting thing is that the folio, which in some countries were very important, in some period became less and less important, and some more user-friendly formats like the octavo or duodecimo became more prominent in the time, and it is also correlated with the genre. So usually the fine literature was published in octavo and duodecimo and even smaller formats, while the scientific literature and theology became in folio and quarto. Another interesting visualization is when we try to visualize images. Probably it's less important for the book history, but who knows? But for art history, it is very prominent idea. You can find similar images for painting of a particular painter or photographer and so forth. So we use on the x and y axis different parameters like the number of colors or opacity and so forth, and we group together those pictures which share the same colors or same number of colors. Ted Underwood is also a very prominent author. He's a literary scholar, but worked with book metadata as well. Here he created a model who tries to decide based on the full text whether a book is a science fiction or fantasy. Sometimes we can get this information from the metadata, but sometimes the metadata is not available, or the metadata doesn't contain this or synonym terms. And how the popularity of this genre has been changed over the time. Yeah, this is from the same paper for individual science fiction authors. So how different authors can be categorized as science fiction. So from the content of the book, we get the most important words and combinations of words which specify science fiction. But we can see that for different authors who categorize themselves as science fiction writer do not fit fully into this picture. So there are large differences between authors, and also this vocabulary of important words has been changed over the time. This is a Göttingen-based research. From the metadata, they try to figure out the genre when the genre was not available. So you can see that from autobiography to daily journals, diaries. What is the precision of the model which detects the genre? This is from the above map. So here is a variation of the network analysis. On the three axes, you can find publisher, writer, and printers, right?
Booksellers and
booksellers, yes. So you can see that some persons have lots of connections with all the categories while others have connection with a single person. Yeah, this one used two sources I did not mention previously. One is there's a social media site called Goodreads, where you can find books and ratings and comments on books. So users can tell that this is my favorite book because this and this, and also they contain the metadata of the books. The other access is Open Syllabus. This is a database for syllabus, so materials taught in different universities. So whether is there correlation between how the university lecturers think the book is important and how the people, the Goodreads community think it is important. And there are some nice cases where one or the other think that it's important, while the other side don't think that it's important. This is my own research, Nobel Prize winners in German translations. You can find here that I checked the publishing frequency of Nobel Prize winners, and you can see that some of the Nobel Prize winners were very popular before they received the prize. Others became popular after, and sometimes nothing happens. For example, Harald Pinter, so there were no booms, and we can compare, for example, the Polish translations. You can see that Mario Vargas Llosa and Pinter Grass were popular before Nobel Prize winners, but most of them became famous in Poland only after the prize. This is the number of classical authors printed in EST, so this English short title catalog in the early modern period. So you can find that they measure the number of unique authors and number of publications. And finally, distribution of translated literature across clusters after the Second World War. So they make a classification based on where different authors has been published in foreign language. So some authors has been published only in Western Europe, some only in the Soviet Union or in Central Europe during this period, and Wimmer and his colleagues created 5 clusters, and you can see these clusters and the year distributions. So, in summary, for this section, I could say that you can find that these calculations and visualizations that can be based on data already available in the sources, like title, date of publication, and so forth, of course, after harmonization. And we can also measure and calculate additional data based on our sources. So, for example, if we have the OCR version, we can measure the margins, the number of columns, and many other things. Regarding to dissemination, the last part of our workflow, we have the usual dissemination ways of publishing the paper or presenting a conference, but there are newer publication or dissemination modes, publishing the software code, publishing the research data, our data. Of course, sometimes we cannot publish our data. For example, I mentioned this source. Unfortunately, this paper based on OCRC records, and OCRC said that you can use our data for 2 years, but you cannot publish it, and after 2 years you have to delete it. So unfortunately, this research is not reproducible. But it's not fault of the outputs. And also, you can write specific paper about the software you created, or specific paper about the data. And there are new journals concentrating particularly on this chapter. You can write blog, microblog. You can publish presentation slides. And also you can participate in larger groups like our conceptions. And I would like to call attention to one more thing regarding to dissemination. This is round tripping of the data. So I personally think very important that when we normalize the data or harmonize the data, so we specify that Johannes Gutenberg is the same as Johannes Gutenberg, then we can provide it back to the data source. So the next researcher who will work with this data don't have to repeat this step. They can reuse our already created work. But and of course we can create a version of the cell database, but the next researcher most probably will go to the cell database instead of our version of the database. So it is more effective if we somehow could ask cell, inject please our modifications into your database. And at least for Mark, in recent years, they introduced the concept of sorry, I forgot the name, the ownership of the individual data. And we can specify that this piece of information came from this researcher, and this is not the responsibility. Organization is not responsible for this data. They just share the data with others. And if we can do that, we can do a round trip of data. So individual researcher always can work with the latest and greatest version of the data set. And the research community has a role in this process to coordinate these activities and providing standards or methods for the most effective data sharing. And talk about the context. So we are not alone researchers. There are many institutions. For example, several libraries set up data or lab domains or subdomains in their own website, where they provide information how to use their data. They might provide softwares, they might provide courses, etc. For the connection of library or bibliographical information and data science, there are some institutes as well where you can learn more. So one of them is Berkeley Institute for Data Science, the Alan Turing Institute in London, who work together with British Library. Also in the UK, there's Open Data Institute. At the Harvard, there's the Institute of Qualitative Social Science. regarding specifically to bibliographical data science. In Tallinn, there's a cultural data analytics lab. In Helsinki, there's a Helsinki Computational History Group who produced some of these papers I mentioned. In Maryland, College Park, there's a computational archival science group who work, for example, together with GWDG and others in the archival domain. In Amsterdam, there's a cultural AI lab. If you would like to learn by yourself, there's, I mentioned already, the library carpentry. This is a set of lessons made for historians to learn computational methods. The British Library has a digital scholarship training program. There's, I don't remember exactly what it is. There's a data scientist training for librarians. And yeah, sorry, I mixed programming history and library carpentry. Library carpentry is a similar thing, but you can use their intellectual trainings on your own, or you can also participate in their online or on-site trainings. There are some organizations. In this week, there was the Fantastic Futures conference in the British Library, which is about the connection of AI and library or cultural heritage between two conferences. This is a yearly conference between two conferences. There are this AI for LAM. LAM is Library Archive Museum sector. Bi-weekly meetings and online communication forums. In Daria, we have the bibliographical data working group and also a research data management working group, which also mentioned some aspects of bibliographical data science. The LIBER is the League of European Research Libraries. They also have a League Open Data Group and Data Science in Libraries working group. And the Research Data Alliance, which concentrate on the research data aspect of things, have many but short-term working groups. I did not mention them. Usually these working groups exist for 1 year or 2 years. And yeah, you can join these communities. I mentioned there are many conferences. If you would like to participate, the biggest one is this ADHO, Digital Humanities. ADHO is the umbrella organization of DH-related organizations. DARIA is the European umbrella organization for DH. They have an annual conference, lots of working groups. Relatively new thing is the Computational Humanities Research Conference. This is a yearly conference also in end of November, early December.
Taking place now. Taking place right now.
Ah, okay, great. There are many digital humanities conferences in different regions, like I guess it will be January or early February.
23rd to 27th.
Great.
February.
Yeah, so in the German-speaking countries, in Benelux, there's a Semantic Web in Libraries conference, Theory and Practice in Digital Libraries, joint conference on digital libraries. These are a very big or relatively big conferences. Some of them have proceedings for you, so you can check there. I listed several journals. Some are new, some are old. Training materials, and finally some books. Yeah, You might notice that I did not mention any specific training or book specifically for digital or computational book history because I haven't found them. So yeah, you can find books and training materials for adjacent territories like library, literature, history, cultural analytics, and so forth.
Could you go back to the list of journals, please?
Okay, so that was my introduction.
Many thanks. That was exactly what I hoped for. It's an amazing overview. I feel that we should open the windows and have a short break. But this does not mean that we should not be ready to ask questions. Perhaps as we enter the groups, if that's fine for everyone. Many thanks. Let's be back here in at 11:20, and I shall ask our colleagues online to bear with us that we're slightly late.